adding in a short link or using like a URL shortener with that QR code has benefits to one, you can track it. So you know how many people scanned it, but also once you print that, you might, need to change the URL. Let's say the URL changed or somebody messed up. Well, with the short link, you can always go back and update that as needed. So.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Pursuit of Purpose. My name is Chris Kiefer, and today I have Tim Leland, who is the founder of the world's shortest URL shortener, and that is t.ly. So I will let Tim explain kind of his background and how he got to where he is now, but just some context for the listeners. URL shorteners like Bitly that people are probably familiar with, t.ly. I think, and Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong when I hand this over to you, but you've got over 400,000 users. It's a Chrome extension, but he's had a ton of success, and he's been doing all of this as a solopreneur, which is even more impressive. So I'm excited to talk about how he's growing this and scaling this with a ultra lean team. But first of all, Tim, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to get to talk about what I've been working on.
Yeah, and then the second thing is just go ahead and give us like the 60-second, 90-second bio of who are you, where did you develop your skills, and then what, like, if I understand correctly from some other podcasts I've heard you on, you just recently made the leap to go full time on this. So I love knowing that. Was just talking to my business coach, like, what was the thing that made you say, okay, it's happening, I'm going all in? Because I feel like a lot of people have the idea, and it's at varying levels of taking off, but there's something that you have to commit as an entrepreneur and say, this is no longer like a side hustle or a hobby, like I'm doing this. So take it away.
Yeah, so I've been developing software since college. I got a computer science degree, so my first job was building software, and then I always have kind of been entrepreneur type person. I enjoy what can I do to build, or make some additional money on the side, that type of stuff. So it started off just building websites for local businesses, and then eventually I started realizing that didn't scale very well because every website I'd have to start all over. So I decided to get into building more of apps, and I kind of landed into like the Chrome extension store, started building extensions, and had a weather extension that kind of grew to close to 300,000 users at one point. And,
is that still active?
Yeah, still active. It's, I put some time into it, just not as much. And so, it makes some money. I have some pro features that people can upgrade. But what I learned is if you see, even on the new like Mac update now, there's like weather widgets and stuff like that. Like people don't really expect to pay for weather. So anyways, that was kind of my introduction to, building something, scaling it to, thousands of users. And then at a company I was working for, they needed a URL shortener, and I built one there, just internal. And that kind of exposed me a little bit to why a company would need it. And then eventually Google, I don't know if you've seen recently in the news, they've actually shut down Google Podcasts and a few other internal apps, but they're always doing that. Well, they announced in, I think it was 2017, 2018, that they were shutting down their Google URL shortener. And there was an extension that used the API. So what dawned on me is 1 million users that use that extension would be going to look for something new. And that's where I built just a link shortener extension, and it has grown to, that's where, you referenced the 450,000. That's grown to be pretty large, user base. And then on top of that, I built my own service, which is the t.ly, as like the SaaS product that people can use for free, but they also can sign up and pay monthly for more advanced features like custom domains and more analytics and just other things that people would want to be able to like manage their short links. And yeah, so I've been doing that since 2019, and just slowly been growing it, adding new features, and just a lot of it's just been like marketing. So, I build features, but then I would put some additional marketing content out there to bring more awareness and improve my search ranking. And then eventually, like you said, I decided in the past few months to actually go full time on it. So I was able to quit my job.
Yeah, I'm curious. I would assume that first question would be how long ago did the thought of I could just be an entrepreneur and do this on my own? Was that like 10 years ago or 3 years ago or like, and even if if you didn't know how, it probably more recently T.ly was the pathway. But I'm curious, was this like you were hoping to do your own thing for a long time in your life, or was it just recently where this was like an exciting opportunity that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, if I go back, I would say like building the websites. I went from, all right, I built, a few local businesses websites, and I went from thinking, okay, I built 5 of them. I'm charging this much a month. For me to quit my job, I'd have to build like, 1,000 of them. And immediately I was like, okay, that's not really scalable. So I guess if I go back, my end goal has been to eventually do my own thing. And a lot of that's just due to like my thinking. So when I got out of college, I went, got my first job. Wasn't a bad job, but I learned real quick, okay, I got to wake up, be here. And it was like, this was way before remote work and things like that. But I'd have to be there at my desk before 8 a.m. and I wasn't leaving until after 6. So I would walk in, it was dark. I would leave and it was dark. And I was like thinking, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life. I wonder what other path is there? And then I started getting, I just kind of go deep into learning in different things. And I started learning about like indie hackers, like indiehackers.com is a website. I got a lot of resources and a lot of interviews like this where people just talk about their story. But once I learned that I don't have to necessarily start like a massive company to be able to like go full time, I could just build something, especially on what the internet is, build it, get thousands or millions of people to use it, and then eventually possibly work on that full time and kind of get that freedom that I was looking for.
Yeah, I think that I have a similar story of I got an engineering degree, went into structural engineering. My first job, I lasted 6 months. Same thing. Like it was when I got it, I was stoked. Big office building in downtown Portland, like 25th floor, beautiful view. But then it's like that wears off after 3 days. And then it's just like, you're in the grind, same thing. Show up at 8, stay till the end of the day, go home. And yeah, it just, I can relate on many levels there. I'm curious, with any extension, I'm sure that it varies greatly on the extension, but a broad market extension that's very applicable. What's the percentage? And maybe you can only speak to the ones that you've had, but like for your weather one, for the URL shortener one, I think you have like a screenshot one as well. What's the percentage of users to like the conversion of a paid user at any level? Is it like 5% or 10%? Or was one of your extensions like 20 and the other one's 2%? Like where do those, or are you able to determine, like, can you look at another extension and be like, yeah, conservatively, I bet 10% of their people are paying, or I'm assuming it's, I don't know why I'm going immediately to 10, but what is the like average benchmark for an extension?
Yes. So I guess it would depend. So extensions are tough because people generally install them, and if they don't get immediate value, they uninstall. And it's just such an easy, process to install, uninstall. And also most of the extensions are free. So people have installed extensions and they kind of just expect it to be free. Like I get all the time, like why isn't the weather extension completely free, let's say? And it's partly because it, still costs me like hundreds of dollars to run a month. And, it's like a one-time upgrade. So I have to get X number of people to upgrade to really just support the extension. But so people expect it to be free and they will uninstall real quick. So the best thing would be, if you can look at extensions like maybe 1Password or some of these other ones where it's like the extension is not really the extension is just like an additional piece for the business versus like,
It's like to make the thing that you're going to buy anyways easier or
yes,
integrated better.
Yes. So like you really can't use 1Password without paying them. So I imagine theirs is, if anybody installs the extension, it's like almost 100%
Right.
conversion. But in my case, I don't know. I'd have to look at numbers, and a lot of my users can come from anywhere. So, I built the extension originally as just a standalone thing and then kind of integrated it with T.ly. So, and I try to, with most of my stuff, make it a lot of it free and just let people use it. And I'm trying to build it to where it becomes, the number when people think of I want to create a short
name,
link,
the household name kind of thing.
So I'm probably not optimizing it as much, but I think when I looked, this was months ago, it might have been like 2% conversion rate or something like that. So
yeah,
it's not, 10% would be really nice.
Yeah. But I assume, but like you said, it's more of I like that the focus is, does the extension do what I assume it's going to do? How easy is it? Like, I feel, this is my perspective, many tools online that are free, I know that there is some, it's like, okay, what's the model here? Are they getting my information? Are they tracking my browser usage? Is there very limited features that I'm going to have to pay? Like, you go into all of them with that kind of lens. And so there's kind of like, this seems a little strange, and that would be a reason that I'd uninstall something. But that makes perfect sense that yours super straightforward, and it does what it says it's going to do. I'm curious, how do you if you have got the weather thing, the T.ly, the screenshot, I don't know how many other ones there are. It seems like it's kind of hard to cross promote, at least directly in the Chrome extension store. How are you able to get people from one thing to another? Is it like, do you get email addresses of people that use your stuff, or what access to communicating with people do you have when you're in the extension world?
Yeah, you don't really get that. So yeah, but to go back to what you said, if you're using something for free and there's a company behind it, it's like, Facebook, you're the product, right?
Yeah.
Because of the advertising. So if they're not making money through advertising or, selling your data or whatever, then they're usually charging for it. So that's my thing. If anybody ever says like, why can't this thing just be free? Well, it's usually most things.
Nothing's free.
Yeah, nothing's free. So now there are some there's like some ad blocker extensions that are open source and really, people push to make them free. Like, an ad blocker extension usually isn't going to make money on advertising because that's the whole goal of it.
That's the point.
Now some of those have gone paid, but anyways, so cross promoting, I don't think I've probably done, most of my stuff they're not really related, like a weather extension to a link shortener extension. But when you install my weather extension, it takes you to like a blog post on my personal site that has like a list of my other extensions. So maybe some people install it from there. But they're not really like related products. But I think overall, kind of just like in general, like the SEO of like all the extensions I've built over the years have helped. And, obviously like the weather extension grew to hundreds of thousands of users. And then the link shortener extension grew even faster to where it's, getting closer to 450,000, closer to 500,000 users. So, I'm hoping that one, could get to 1 million. That's kind of my big goal for it.
You've created the link shortener, and you've now gone all in on this. Because I came across this because for the review software that I made, I don't know if you remember, and it's funny that I didn't realize that the person responding to the support tickets would be the creator of it. But you replied, we were asking about some more advanced analytics features. I'm curious, for 400,000 users and only a portion of them, because you can use it without making an account. But so the small percentage that have made an account, how many like support tickets or requests are you getting in a week or a month? And is it, what is the volume of your time that is spent just trying to answer questions. I'm sure sometimes it's ideas and then you're logging, okay, how valuable is this for other people? The standard software stuff. But I'm curious, how is your time split in the time that you're spending in T.ly with the different things?
Yes, most of my focus is on T.ly, and I try to always respond pretty quickly to any support issues. So that's kind of, pretty much most days I wake up and check emails, review, accounts, anybody who signed up, answer any questions, and then, obviously like feature requests. If it's something I can do, pretty quickly, I'll try to do it if it makes sense. And if it's a bigger thing, I kind of track it so that I could follow up later if, eventually I add it to the, but yeah, how much time? Probably I'd say, a couple hours a day I'm usually spending emailing and, fixing things and helping people out. But I've gotten pretty good at it over the years where I have like almost like automated, like text completion stuff for common questions. And then I try to create like, blog posts to answer questions and direct people to those. And then people, in the case of the products I've built, so the weather extension is pretty, self-explanatory that they can just figure that out. And then same with the URL shortener. If you're a marketer and you're looking for a URL shortener, you've probably heard of Bitly, and you kind of get the standard idea that you want to take a really long link, paste it in, get a short link that you can then, share. And most people kind of get that now. Some of the more advanced stuff, if they want to import, a CSV file of thousands of links, I've created blog posts specifically for that. So I think people kind of just figure those out. And I've also worked for software companies and done, years of working with customers and like, watching how do they interact with software. So trying to make it as easy to use as possible. And then that helps to lower some of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious where, like, first of all, a couple random, like just fat rapid fire ones. Have you ever worked or do you have a business coach?
No business coach. I listen to tons of podcasts.
Which is kind of like a virtual coach, I would say. Have you been in any like peer groups or software like communities of like, and where it's not just like a forum that you're in, but like where you're meeting weekly or monthly with other software entrepreneurs to share ideas or kick around problems that you're trying to solve?
Nothing that's like recurring, but on like indie hackers and on Twitter, like I try to follow other people that are solo people or, building apps like similar to what I'm doing. And I've met with several of them and, exchanged ideas and different strategies on marketing. And, that's been real helpful. And then, I think, Rob Walling, is that the one you heard me on originally?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So like he just came out with a new book,
The SaaS playbook.
Yeah. So I listened to that like day one, just went through it all. And his stuff is really good for what I'm trying to do. So.
Oh yeah. Rob's book was fantastic. The SaaS playbook. It was like, I listened to it. I can't remember who told me, or it was, there's a software called You Can Book Me. I interviewed Ben who works there and he was the one that suggested that. But Ben Dugavich from You Can Book Me, another great conversation with him. But the reason I ask all those things is because, I'm definitely not like a software entrepreneur. Well, I guess I do fall into it. I'm not like a code, like deep in the weeds developer guy, but I have done some development. But I will say from like just a business perspective, getting the coach or I'm in a coaching group right now with like 50 other entrepreneurs that we meet weekly. There's just so much value that I've gotten from, and I can see like my career and the trajectory shift from when we hired a coach personally, and then it started getting into coaching groups. And it's just like that repetition of like showing up, creating the space to think about like, what do I want to do? Why am I doing this to begin with? All that type of stuff. I feel like it's been valuable for me. And I think from what I'm hearing from you, you've gotten to where you are with some, like, again, obviously you're leveraging podcasts and content heavily, you're following some other people, but I would say you've done extremely well without even beginning to tap into those more structured systems or like ideas that have been around for a while. So to me, I don't know if that's something that you've thought about, but I feel like every time I talk to entrepreneurs, the ones like when they're talking about their key inflection points, they always are like, yeah, and then I joined this group or it's like, I'm just trying to short circuit how long it takes to figure stuff out by talking to people that already solved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I probably have gone the trial and error route of just like brute forcing to figure out what works, and probably that's maybe why it's taken me 10 plus years to finally figure out something that has grown big enough that I could go full time on it. But what you kind of said makes me think. So I've in the past month or so I picked up playing golf, and if anybody plays golf and listening to this, starting off new in your 30s is definitely, I would say I've played sports, basketball, tennis, and stuff like that. And golf is by far the most difficult sport there is, challenging. And everybody I've talked to, so I've gone to where I've just watched videos and I'm doing, going to play and I'm hitting practice balls, all that stuff. And you just need to go get, some lessons. And I've kind of been putting it off. But the more I go play and I get frustrated, I'm like, I could probably skip, weeks of trial and error.
6 months of frustration.
Yeah. So that's on my list to do is maybe next week or so go actually take a real lesson and see if they can help me fix some stuff. So
I actually, it's funny because I think the first time I hired a coach outside of like playing basketball and having a coach, right, was like 3 years ago. And now I'm like seeing the benefit of that and like, where else can I get a coach in my life? Like I want a coach for my health, and I go to a CrossFit gym. So there's a coach there that's watching the movements and giving feedback and stuff. It's like, I'm like a huge advocate of find a coach to help just literally hold you accountable and comment on what they're seeing, and then if you can get a coach that is knowledgeable in the particular space, even better. But yeah, I think that's just so powerful. The couple other things I'm curious on is, have you heard of the SaaS Academy or Dan Martell?
I think I've heard Dan Martell, just random videos, but not.
So I'm curious because I just met him at our coaching group that I'm in. He came and spoke at it, but he has this book called Buy Back Your Time. I don't know if that rings a bell, but I would say,
but I've heard that, yeah.
Just because of what you are describing right now, I am stoked. Put it on your reading list or audiobook. I listen to all my books, but listen to it like in the next 2 weeks. It's going to absolutely change your life. It's so tactical. That was the book I probably read 5 months ago ish. And that was what made me say, I'm getting a VA, fine. Like I'm pulling the trigger. I'm going to do this and actually hand off my email to someone else. I won't go into all, that's his thing, but I would just say, just literally for value to you, if you read that book, let me know in like 2 months how it impacted the way you're thinking about stuff. Cause I guarantee that you're going to be like, this was awesome. Cause I think it's amazing. Like I'm blown away. T.ly, again, for people listening, it's super simple to use. It's very, very user friendly. And it does exactly what Tim's saying in like a couple of clicks. You can take this big nasty URL, just shorten it, and now you have a really short link to share. It's just, and the fact that you've done all of this and support and marketing without any help is like, you're about to blow up. Like you are like on the, like, it's going to 10x what you're doing right now. And I want to say that with respect, that what you've done is amazing. And I just am blown away that you have like no help. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of give credit to all the people I've, like I said, listened to, and just random ideas that they'll say something and it'll spark some idea. But that's every month or so, I feel like I keep saying, like I turn these knobs, so I figure out, okay, what can I do to get more traffic or to grow, or what kind of change can I make? And that's just like every month I've been turning different knobs to see what works, and just allowed it to grow, and hopefully that just continues. I think what am I going to do next month to figure out the next growth thing that's going to get more people to sign up and try it and switch over from some of the competitors, and I've been kind of fortunate. Some of the competitors have done some stuff that I think aren't the best moves, and it's actually helped me out quite a bit. So that's been kind of interesting.
Give me an example of that.
One example is they probably have their own reasons, but like Bitly used to be for the last 10 plus years, you could just go to their site and create a short link and on their homepage. And now you have to like sign up, and it's still like a free thing. You can sign up, but they're getting, they're putting that one extra little barrier. And they've also done some like pricing changes to where people have like come and then said specifically they switched because one, it was more complicated. Two, they didn't get any kind of support feedback. They would, ask for, have problems, ask questions, and wouldn't hear anything. And then also so pricing, support, and then also they put in that extra barrier to where people can't just create, links when they want to, which
right,
is an extra layer of frustration. But
that's awesome. So what would you say is so you want to get to 1 million users. How clear have you gotten on like when you think that's achievable by? I'm just like most things, I'm assuming that there's a slower trajectory and then things start to pick up. I'm sure that there's plateaus in there and you got to figure out new marketing channels, which it sounds like that's kind of the focus that you've been on. But I'm curious, what's the next roadblock? From your perspective, what's holding you back? Or like, if you could solve X from your perspective, this thing it'd be a rocket ship.
Probably just bringing more like awareness. Like people, when they think of a short link, there's, TinyURL's been around. They're actually kind of the original URL shortener, 20 plus years. They started in like 2003. And then Bitly. Those are the two people think of. They think of Bitly if they're a company and they're going to pay. And then TinyURL is just a free short link. So, a lot of blogs, let's say, list the top URL shorteners. And unfortunately, those blogs you'll look at it in 2022, it'll say the top 10 URL shorteners. And then they'll say the top 10 URL shorteners for 2023 are the exact same. They don't update it. Nobody changes it. So it's kind of just the product of a URL shortener has been around so long that people just
nothing's changing.
Yeah. They don't know that there's, a new option. And they don't really get updated those. So that's kind of been one of my things. If I could somehow get to where, my product's listed on some of those review sites and things like that. Now, I don't know if that's going to do it, to send me over the top. But, so the 1 million is a goal for the extension, but I'm also, if I could get more people just using, let's say, the API, so more companies who are sending text messages and they need to create short links to, either switch or look at using t.ly as an option for that. Or also I've done a lot of stuff with QR codes. So that's another area where QR codes kind of blew up for menus. And, you just start, if you look at any kind of mail that you're getting now, most of it has QR codes, and adding in a short link or using like a URL shortener with that QR code has benefits. To one, you can track it, so how many people scanned it. But also, once you print that, you might need to change the URL. Let's say the URL changed or somebody messed up. Well, with the short link, you can always go back and update that as needed. So,
yeah, I was going to say when in my past job as the marketing director, we would send out postcards, and each QR code or each postcard had a QR code. And the QR code was custom for every single piece. So we could see if it got scanned, we knew which house scanned the QR code, which then we could update, and send additional mailers to people that were engaging with it potentially. But 100%, I think that's super smart. Yeah. What else? I'm looking at, while you were saying that, I pulled up G2 has, when I just do top URL shorteners, I was going to ask you if you've heard, do you know how those ranking? I'm assuming that they're all the same. I have a buddy that works in affiliate marketing. So he does blogs and stuff, or manages blogs for larger companies like, Best Mattress or Best iPhone Charger, or things like that, or top URL shorteners. Are you familiar with the affiliate structure and how those blogs rank tools?
Somewhat. I do have an affiliate program that's, something I've been working at improving. Um, but yeah, no, explain it. What do you?
So this was like, it's gonna, for those of you listening too, I'm like about to ruin any researching that you do online before buying a product, because my friend Kenny, if you hear this, he ruined it for me. He was doing and still does marketing for like mattress companies, for example. And mattresses, I would say he told me that mattresses, home security systems like the Ring and Simply Safe, those types of tools, they are the security system and the mattresses are like the two products that have the largest commission payouts for a single purchase. And literally, and again, let's say that G2 doesn't operate like this. In Kenny's opinion, he says every single like review blog, it's all the exact same. And basically what happens is I'm G2. I'm just going to pretend like this is how G2 operates. I don't know, but this is exactly how, a handful of industries that he was in operated. So he said, let's say I'm G2. I go to Bitly and say, hey, we're updating our article for 2024. Do you guys have any changes to your commission structure? And Bitly's like, oh, it's nope, still going to be 20% of the next 3 years or of the first 12 months or whatever. Or maybe it's a single payout of $100 if you get a new user or paid user. And then they go to GoLinks, which happens to be the second one on the list. And they're like, hey, Bitly is giving us 20% of commissions. And GoLinks is like, we can give you 25. And they're like, how many users do you have? And it's literally just a math game. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then we bump this one to the top. And now, and there might be some other things, not just commissions, because they don't want to lose credibility. But in more or less, like in the case of a tie or a toss up of like, yeah, they're all kind of the same. Literally, this is what Kenny was telling me for mattresses. Like the mattress or the blog companies were coming to the mattress companies and being like, hey, you're only giving us $300 for every mattress we sell. This other company's giving us $600, and people were like changing their rates and stuff to get ranked higher on the blog, and they would do that, which is just like, you read the blog and you think that it's like this really authentic review or thoughtful response of the pros and cons and the how cool the mattress is and all this stuff. And Kenny was like, it's really frustrating and disappointing, but it literally just comes down to money and which one, if I can bump this person to number one instead of number three, they're going to pay X amount more. And that's how it works. So I don't know with certainty if G2 is the same thing, but that's what Kenny would say is, very, very likely that's how it's set up, which I don't know what thoughts you have on that, but I was just like, that's, I have not played that game. I haven't had to. I was just bummed when Kenny told me, because I was like, dang it. Now, every time I read an article, and the thing is that like a lot of times they still are good products, right? If there's a company that has a nice affiliate program, they're generally able to do that because their product is good. Like if if I'm going to give you 80% of my commission as the company to the person that's the affiliate, and I only have 2 users, like it doesn't matter what my affiliate program is. I still have to have a good product and people have to be signing up and using it for me to want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. The affiliates, I don't really trust any blogs. Like most of the stuff you Google and it's like, like you said, mattress or any product, I generally avoid those. I think the Wirecutter, which I don't know if it's still legitimate, but that was kind of the one I used to look at a lot. And they made money off affiliate links, but they were honest reviews.
Actual legit. Yeah.
But yeah, to what you said is definitely true, because anytime there's been some of those sites where I've reached out to and I'll be like, hey, could you do an updated review and take a look at T.ly, and they'll say, if you pay X amount, you'll be number one. And it's like, wait, that doesn't really make sense. You're not really the number one, so it's the person paying. So I don't know much about the G2 site, but like back to what we kind of started off with, if you're not a paying customer, then you are the customer, I guess. And in this case, it's like the way, they're making money somehow. You just got to, figure out what is their motive to listing those things. Do they have advertising on the site, affiliate links, or are they just getting paid, to sponsor people to put them at the top? So
totally. Just curious on like the rest of your life, balancing work, family. Like, do you have a family? How do you decide, how are you using your business to provide for your life? It sounds like golf, obviously. Tell me a little bit about that realm.
Yeah. So, I'm married. I have 3 boys, ages 8, 5, and 3. So, summertime they were all out of school, but now they're actually all in school, at least some of the day. So that's, been nice, quieter in the morning. But yeah, so, generally, going this route of kind of working for yourself allows me to, be more flexible. I already was with my previous company, like working from home. But now it's, pretty flexible. Like I actually earlier today went and played golf this morning. So that was kind of nice. As the weather's cooled off too, it's been even better, but yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty flexible. I have like a list of things that I want to do, and then I have a list of things I kind of need to do every day. Like a lot of it's the customer support and fixing any issues that might come. And then my other time is, and I don't always, have a great plan, but I try to think of any kind of marketing stuff that I can do to just back to bringing more awareness. So if somebody needs to create short links and QR code related stuff, that they'll just use t.ly, and that would be kind of, my hope is one day I'll be, looking at a billboard in some, populated area and see a QR code with a t.ly short link or something like that. That would be pretty cool. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Moving to some wrap up questions. I'm curious. I always ask everybody 3 favorite books or highly recommended books.
Yeah, so I kind of already mentioned the first one I'd written down, but the SaaS Playbook by Rob Walling that just released. And if you're building a SaaS product, it's definitely one to look at. So many great takeaways from that. And then recently, Walter Isaacson came out with the Elon documentary, I guess, or biography. So I've been going through that, and it's pretty interesting. Just it's all about Tesla and SpaceX, and that's been really good. And then I don't remember the author's name, but he's the one that wrote Martian. I recently read, I think he had another book called Hail Mary, which is another like space sci-fi kind of related book. So those are kind of my 2 business.
So the book
related.
is the Elon Musk book. Is it just called Elon Musk?
Yeah.
And what's the author's name? Or Walter Isaacson.
Yeah.
Nice,
and I've read several of his. So Steve Jobs, I think Leonardo da Vinci. He also did one on Leonardo. So there's a bunch, and he usually goes pretty deep into people's lives. So
totally, that's awesome. And then the last one you said was the author of The Martian, and it's called Hail Mary.
Yep.
And that's about what?
It's like sci-fi. So it's the term Hail Mary is because it's a Hail Mary project to blanking. So we're having a problem, so they're needing to get off of Earth, and they're sending a crew through to find another planet.
Got it.
That's probably a really bad explanation of it.
I always make notes on the someday my plan was I ask everybody for book recommendations, and I'm making a database in Airtable. And so on my blog, I want to have like a list of all books that people have recommended, and then start seeing books that are more recommended by more people. You know what I mean? So anyways, I keep track of that in my little Airtable here to hopefully have a cool little thing if someone wants book recommendations, they can see what people have suggested. So last question is movie. You got a movie recommendation for me?
Yeah. So I don't really watch a ton of TV or movies, but the ones that come to mind are more documentary type movies, and I'm not sure. There's several of ones that are on Steve Jobs, anything on the ones that I think there's one. It's just called Jobs, and then I think the other one is the guy that kind of started McDonald's, maybe like the founder or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. About Ray Kroc.
Yeah. So those type of things kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't really watch a ton of TV or movies. Probably partly.
So if you had to pick one of those ones you just mentioned, what would be the one you tell me?
Steve Jobs one. Just anything Steve Jobs. That's kind of back to another book.
Is that one just called Steve Jobs also?
I think it's called Jobs. Well, there's several ones on Steve Jobs' life, but
Steve Jobs documentary, The Man in the Machine in 2015. Does that sound right? And there's the history of Steve Jobs.
Probably. I don't know. I don't want to say which one's the best, but there's several of them. Maybe Steve Jobs, The Man in the Machine. That looks like the one. Yeah, I think Ashton Kutcher was playing Steve Jobs.
Oh, that one was like that's the one that's like a what's it called?
Reenactment.
It's a drama, not a documentary, right?
Yeah.
I know exactly which one you're talking. I think that one is called Jobs. 2013 Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. But you're saying that, so the movie, not the documentary.
The movie. Yeah, we'll go with the movie.
Awesome. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, how would you recommend that they do that?
Probably Twitter. That's where I've been trying to, push people. So you can follow me on Twitter. It's Tim Leland, and send me a direct message, or you could find me. I have a cool email address. It's tim@t.ly.
The best email.
Very short.
You should do t@t.ly,
Yeah.
You have an alias for that? It's easy to do.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I appreciate your time and coming on to chat about this. This was fun, and I'm excited to hear. Let me know how the Buy Back Your Time book goes, if there was anything that was interesting. I always love just collaborating with entrepreneurs, and if you've got any other books or ideas to kick my way, that's why I do this. So thank you so much, and we will be in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for your attention and listening to this episode of The Pursuit of Purpose. Your feedback and comments mean the world to me. If you liked what you heard, please take a second, leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. If you've got suggestions for future episodes or just want to say hi, shoot me an email at chris@chriskiefer.com. Don't forget, I make it a point to include all the links to the books, movies, and resources mentioned on this episode in the show notes. You can see those directly below in the description or on my website, chriskiefer.com. Thanks so much, guys.